The Noble J. Dick Aquatorium was conceived and constructed by
Frank Eyre Jr.
It was built in 1969 for the Monongahela area bicentennial presentation of The Hills of Home by a cast of hometown performers. Most of the material was donated initially by Flexicor, which was right next door, and labor was donated by workers at Combustion Engineering. Noble J. Dick, of Dick Enterprises, was a contractor who had owned the bus lines from the Forward Township area to Monongahela and to the McKeesport area. He financed half the cost as a public gesture. It was built at the cost of $80,000. The Monongahela Aquatorium was the first of its kind in the entire U.S., a supersized outdoor auditorium built directly into the riverbank. It seats 3,700 people. The Aquatorium is also a popular fishing spot for kids of all ages. A fishing tournament is held here every June. The site on which the Aquatorium is built was a transportation hub from the very beginning. In 1771, Joseph Parkinson and Moses and David DeVore built and operated competing ferries on opposite sides of the Monongahela River. Parkinson's on the west bank and DeVore's on the east bank. These ferries accommodated travelers on the old Glades Road, now Route 136, which was the continuation of the road from Bedford to West Newton and across the river. Monongahela was one of several towns along the river to develop an aggressive boat building industry. These boats were used on the Mississippi, Missouri, and Ohio rivers. In 1782, the state of Pennsylvania had enacted that the Youghiogheny and Monongahela rivers were public highways. Keelboats, such as the one used by Lewis and Clark, carried freight and passenger traffic, whereby several men on each side ran the boat forward by pulling it through the water, as the river was then shallow enough in places to walk across. The keelboat was the model out of which grew the idea of the steamboat. To facilitate river navigation year-round, the state instituted locks and dams, making it possible for the advent of the steam-powered riverboat in 1814. In 1841, General William Henry Harrison was on his way to Washington, D.C. to be inaugurated the 9th President of the United States. He passed up the Monongahela River on the steamer Loyal Hannah and was given a royal welcome by the people of Monongahela, who lashed their boat, the Leobanon, to the Loyal Hannah. The journey continued, stopping at every town. Many people afterward thought the ordeal of handshaking and wading through the mud and slush in the different places the boat stopped was too much for the old general and led to his sudden death a few weeks later. Samuel Clemens, better known as humorist Mark Twain, on a packet trip up the Monongahela in 1891, first learned about Monongahela from Captain J.S. Moorhead while aboard his boat, the New Dominion. He explained that it was a town that had a Catsburg, no less. Twain, a lover of cats, is reported to have said, "Well, a town with a Catsburg isn't half bad, even if it has a Sidewinder name." Entertainment came to town on the showboats, and in 1914 a floating circus moored here. B.H. Latrobe surveyed for a railroad in town in 1835. There was great opposition to the project, both in Monongahela and in other sections of the county. It was claimed at the time that if a railroad was run through Washington County, grass would grow over the National Road, Route 40, and Pittsburgh would be ruined. The Pennsylvania Railroad arrived in town in 1873 and was often referred to as the Pennsy. It was the largest railroad in the U.S. for the first half of the 20th century, and at its peak controlled nearly 10,000 miles of track. The Pittsburgh and Lake Erie Railroad was also here in 1889 on the other side of the river in East Monongahela, giving the town access to both railways.